I'll see Jonathan. I won't see him, but I'll take a class from him on Saturday. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I've
just so
never
you know,
really.
I hit the go live button, so
Yeah. There we go.
yeah,
Just chatting.
just chatting. Let me see if this will. For some reason, our Instagram always has a serious lag. Okay, there it goes. All right, sweet, awesome.
Yay.
Okay, well, welcome to Run Wild with Us. You can ask us anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder of Running Wild. I'm here with some of our phantasmagorical people, Cecilia Kennedy, who's both an editor of ours as well as one of our authors. And we are about to be joined by the fantastic Benjamin White, who is also one of our editors, authors, and this gentleman also runs one of our acquisition or one of our imprints. So the whole purpose of this is so that anyone who's watching, either you're watching live, you're watching a recording, you are more than welcome to ask us any questions, honestly, about anything. We're all pretty open, unless you get really weird, and then I'll probably do a deflect. But
then I'll answer.
Then Ben will answer on behalf of all of us. Otherwise, yes, you will most likely get a response. I typically will repeat the question, and then we'll all take turns providing an answer. So with that, Cecilia and I were actually just discussing her amazing news that her book is now in the production stage for Running Wild. So I thought maybe we could start with, so Cecilia, how was your experience? I mean, normally you're one of our editors. What was your experience like on the other side of the table, one, and two, how has your experience been, and what are the expectations? What's happening in the production stage?
So yeah, I mean, it is different because I've been an editor before. So now I'm an author, and it's really fun to start to get to see the other side. So it's I have my fantastic editor, Amy Hardy, who also is an amazing writer and author. And she's just kind of been there, every step of the way. I mean, so she read through. At first, the comments were just like, there's like one comment at the beginning, one in the middle, and one at the end, and they were more like developmental edits. And I thought, well, I could definitely just speed up the process and, fix just this and this and this. But she got me thinking about other edits that I could be making just by those 3 comments. So I went through and I found like 20 plot holes.
Oh, wow.
and I fixed them. And then I found like other pieces. Like she really just, it was only 3 comments, but they jogged my brain in the right direction, where I was starting to think more as a reader and an observer rather than in the story. So I'm so glad that I had to wait some time, because then I could see the text with fresh eyes. Then I started to think of like all the touches, like, oh, I want to do this kind of dedication. It would be so fun. Oh, I want to add, I think it's really fun. I learned this from Elise Blackwell. She is an author with Running Wild Press, and I had the pleasure of being her editor. One of her characters has a signature cocktail, and I'm like, that is brilliant. So I think the best thing you can do is give your characters a cocktail, because they have to deal with you. They have to deal with you doing things to them all the time. They can't control it. They need a cocktail. So I gave my main character a cocktail. So the story is called The Monster in the Stairwell at Work, and I gave her a toxic ooze margarita. So there will be a recipe. There's a recipe at the end. There's a recipe at the end for the toxic ooze margarita. You can have one. You can pour one out for the monster, pour one out for her. Yeah. So there's that. There's that.
Oh my gosh, now I need one. That's fabulous.
Yeah. yeah, so I mean, she just it was really only a couple of comments, some really good line edits, and then I went through and I just found so much more. And then I was able to like ask her, what do you think of this change? And then we would get excited about it. I mean, that's the other thing. Your editor can also just get excited about your work that you're doing. So then when it was all over, she's like, you know, these are the things that I think you would be eligible for awards. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And she's like, if you need help with this or that or the other thing. So I am just on the edge of productions. I don't know what comes next exactly, but I am out there begging for blurbs. So the blurb sphere, if you're out there, yeah, so I'm looking for blurbs now. I think I have a couple of months to do that, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, honestly, you can get blurbs up till, because I think really the first real print run typically doesn't happen until maybe 5 months prior to your publication date. So, and as long as Amir isn't completely swamped, although we're very good at doing that to him, you should be, you should be good with and added. Yeah.
And in terms of the cover, you know, I haven't even thought about it. So whatever Amir wants is what Amir gets, really. I mean, I might have an idea of something, but it might not work. So I'll have to think about that. But honestly, I'm pretty sure Amir will come up with something fantastic. And I'm excited.
What I've been suggesting to authors lately is give Amir, because the person who basically is our product manager is Kimberly.
Yes.
So give Kimberly, like, here's the genres, and this is the back jacket copy. Yeah. And then give that, if you don't really have any ideas, right, then give that to Amir, and he can use that as like a launching point to come back with, you know, whatever conceptually he thinks would be good for a cover design.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I also did the summary. So the other things that I did that I made sure that I had on hand in my file is my log line, my back cover, and then like a quick summary with all the spoilers. I think that you need that, right? I usually tell authors to do that. It's not going to be published, I don't think, but I think it's in there if you need it. So
we usually need the log line. You need the log line, the back jacket copy.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I remember back in the day when we first started Running Wild, we were told by distributors that we needed to have that summary with the spoilers. But I have yet, and I say this, which means it'll happen tomorrow, I have yet to have anybody actually ask us for that synopsis. So I think really, like, it's great if you're working with an author you've never worked with before to see if they have an actual narrative arc, you know, and if they if they understand what their milestones are and that kind of thing. But I don't really, I mean, it can be useful in terms of when we're going to sell it, and then, you know, similar to the purpose of a log line and the back jacket. So.
Well, it was also a good exercise for me because like I put the book aside and what is the summary? Like, what is the story about? And like in an hour, I just vomited a lot of like 2,000 words about what the story is from beginning to end. And I was like, oh, it helps you really understand your story. It really helps you. Like if you ever, you know, have to give an interview or whatever, you can talk about the themes that are in your book now. I'm like, oh, I see this theme and this theme and this one. So it's a good exercise to do as an author, whether it goes into anybody's hands or not. It helps you understand your book a little bit better. So I don't view it as wasted time or anything like that if it never gets used, because I understand a little bit more about my book and what this narrative arc is after doing it. I was like, wow, if I could just write like this all the time.
And now we have the incredible Peter Wright, also one of our absolutely fantastic acquisition editors / head of imprints / authors / editors. And so Peter, I basically put Cecilia on the spot since her book is now in the production stage. of for Running Wild, and just, you know, kind of going through like what was her experience on the other end of the javelin.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was just sharing what her experience was with working with Amy Hardy, and what she's prepped already, and that she's about to go into the blurb stage. And so I had actually, before we started, I had offered to her to just give me a list of your dream list of individuals to get quotes from or blurbs from, and let me see if I can engage them. So, which, by the way, before the entire world reaches out to me and asking me to do that for them, no, I'm only going to do it for like our authors. So if you're not with any of the Running Wild imprints, it's probably I'll ignore you, just a heads up. So, because we have had that happen once or twice, and I was like, seriously? No. I don't even know you. Delete. So.
Hey, you run a publishing house for 10 years, you're a player. Come on.
I'd say we're all players, just saying. You know, I looked up Toxic Ooze Margarita.
Uh-oh, they have one already? Well, maybe not my recipe. Mine's
not your recipe.
And my serving suggestions. I have some serving suggestions that I'm pretty sure are not out there.
Not out there?
I'm pretty sure.
This includes like Jolly Rancher, green apple Jolly Ranchers.
Oh,
no. My God. I would be so sick because of the combination of the sugar and the alcohol. So I really hope this is nothing like yours.
No.
Unless that's the whole purpose. I don't know. Here, get sick.
No, you need the strong stuff if you're going to deal with a monster.
Yeah.
Needs to hit a little bit harder.
So then, Peter, what have you guys been up to? Anything exciting?
I just finally finished the book I've been working on editing for longer than I will admit. And
wait, is this yours?
No.
Okay.
This is the book that I've been editing for longer than I'll admit.
Okay.
And I went through it has many edits, or 3/4 as many edits that I did on this version, which is the more versions that I've ever edited to done for a book.
Oh wow.
And it's almost ready, but I gotta let it go. I just gotta let it go. Say, go into the world. Got to be free, get published, and see what happens, because the last third of the book is fantastic. The first 2/3 are a little bumpy, and I made some suggestions. They're trying to fix it. Whether the author takes them or not, I don't know. But if the reader sticks through it, they're really going to enjoy the ending, and the first 2/3 will make sense. They just got to get there.
Yeah,
got it.
If the opening is good, the reader will hold on, I believe. So.
Very cool.
For my book, I finally picked it back up, and I'm making headway, and I got to condense the first 29 pages into 5 and then get going from there. So it's moving. It's interesting to me again, so I'm excited to start working on it.
Okay. All right. Cool. And how about you, the infamous Ben?
Ben.
This week, Girl of the Cave is down to no more suggestions, no more comments, no more back and forth between me and the author. So the next step is the author and I will take one last good look at it, and then it's ready for production.
So no boxing match this time, just
no. It took some polish. But the author was open to polish, and I think she's very satisfied with the final stages that we're headed into. And like I say, the one last grammar and spell check, and one last run through it to make sure it still flows, because it was a book that tried to keep going when it should have ended. And. So
got it.
Yeah,
okay.
and I want to say more. So we had to be very careful about. Well, if you want to say more, don't say what you said here now.
Yeah.
You can't say that yet.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, there was a point where the right before the ending and the climax of the end, there was a section that said later on she will do this, and after all this is over she will do this. And I said, you can't put that in there now because you got the reader wrapped up not knowing what's happening. But if you say she survived, the story's over. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And so we took that part out altogether. But it was just those kind of places where there was more story to tell, and we didn't need to tell what we were telling before we told the story.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. I need to take notes on that one.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah, obviously.
Got it.
I was going to say that's what God made sequels, but then you threw me off. So I had,
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so that was headed to production, and then I'm ready to get back to War Dogs.
Woohoo!
The
That
first
hopefully
5
doesn't
chapters
stop.
have been worked on and fixed and polished by the author.
Uh-huh.
And the historical
we hope so.
timelines have been fixed.
At least we hope so.
That
Yeah.
was yeah, because some readers will see that as a hurdle and say, no, that didn't happen that way. Some will say, yeah, okay.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So I did fix those things, and then I found some other stuff that I fixed. So
Yeah, I'm ready to jump into it and dedicate that's the next one coming up.
yeah, cool. Well, I've been working on one editing a piece. I'm not that far into it because I had a lot of personal commitments the last week or so. But I did. I was offered by a well-known author, which I'll keep on the QT for now. Once I have like an actual piece that's ready for publication, I'll talk more openly about it. But he's going to have an anthology based on characters within his series, and he offered for me to write a story for that. And he had recommended one character for me to write. And at the time, I didn't really know the character. So I was kind of like, I don't know, So I've been reading the books that mention and give you more backstory associated with the characters. So I ended up actually texting him saying, yeah, you know what, you were right. That the character you said you thought I would be more like engaged with to explore for her own story. Yep, spot on. So I'm like, I'd say probably halfway through my exploration of this character's both backstory and the implied backstory, I guess you could say, because she's a secondary character throughout the series. So of course I also texted him and said, hey, would you be willing to share your notes with me? And to which he did not reply. So I have a feeling bribery may be involved, such as like gin martinis of some sort. I'm just saying. So, but yeah, definitely. And we've closed up. We have contractual agreements with all but 9. We had like 3 authors who pulled out, which is all good. And then we had, because we made like 35 offers, I think, something like that. So we had like 3 who pulled out. All but 9 now have been either the contract signed or they chose not to go forward. Mm-hmm. So I'm working on getting responses from those remaining 9. And I hope that I can get that cleaned up within the next like week or 2. Mm-hmm. Because in some cases, I think they just don't check that email anymore.
That's probably true. Yeah.
So I'm trying to, like, one guy was someone that Amy actually recommended, and she volunteered to be the editor for it. So I just emailed her on the side and said, hey, do you have another email for this guy? Because he's just not responding at all, you know. So if there's any that someone on our team has a personal connection to the individual, I'm just doing that as a honestly more so as a courtesy, because dear God, we've got like I just moved 10 titles to 2028. And I've told Evangeline and Kimberly that any titles, so Cecilia, just so you're not heartbroken when you see it, you're going to come out in 2028 at some point. Yeah, so any title that didn't already have a publication date and that was designated, as well as our anthologies, I moved them all to 2028 just because when we were going through the list, I think we had 54 on the line in the line for 2027. And I was like, oh my God, you know, that I can't do that to these people, you know, so meaning our team. So yeah, we pushed a bunch out to 2028. So it'll be fascinating to see people's responses. Hopefully I get more bribes versus hate mail, but you know, who knows?
I got 3 that haven't responded yet. So
yeah, for Trompe L'Oeil. Yeah. Let me see some. And I'm in that 9. I'm including the Trompe L'Oeil, Junkyard Rooster, and RIZE. So that's like in total of all the ones that we gave offers to. But yeah, I mean, at this point, all but I think 3 they sent the contracts to lawyers, which I not that anyone cares, but I completely back. I think you should have whoever you feel is a trustworthy source to review it with or for you. But the others, they just literally haven't replied. So my guess is that they don't use Submittable very often, and or they don't check their they don't check that email, you know. So Jeremiah Dutch says, there was a Running Wild Facebook thread years ago about receiving a lot of manuscripts written by men with really poorly written stereotypical depictions of women. Has the depiction of women by men in the manuscripts you have received improved in recent years? I hope so.
I would say no. But
no.
I would follow it up with, we are very attuned to not just the gender depictions, but any cross-cultural regional aspects of a story has to be done in the right voice, with the right voice. And so we're very attuned to it and aware of it. So when we do see them, they don't get through. And so that's, you know, I look back at when I saw this question, I thought back to Shocking Pink, which was a story set in the adult film industry that I got to edit after another editor said, I can't do this. And it was if there was any book that could have been infected by stereotypes and prejudgments and biases, it was that one. But it wasn't, because it came down to a human story. It just happened to be set in the adult film industry, and it was very well done. And so that's what we look for. And I was also thinking about Khalid's Far Out novel, where not only did he depict a woman in the 2000s, she had a head injury that he had to depict her as a woman in the 60s, because she had read a script about the 1960s, and when she was in a car wreck, her character emerged thinking it was the 1960s.
Oh, oh
So
my.
it was another one very well done. And but it had to be because she was the main character twice. And it was, which made a very interesting storyline because she came back and forth and with the head injury. So I think we're very attuned to it and aware of it, but it's still out there. Nothing that Running Wild Press does is going to change that. If somebody's writing from a different perspective that they're really not familiar with, chances are we'll catch it and may even write back and say, this is where you fell short because your depiction doesn't ring true. Whether it's a gender, like I said, whether it's a gender, culture, region, whatever it is, an organization. A lot of the military, if you're not familiar with the military, it's going to come through that you're not familiar with what you're writing about.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Peter, were you going to say something?
No, actually, I have to sidestep this one, unfortunately, because the last two books I've worked on were written by women, and the last book was all about women. So I don't really have any perspective in addressing this as a current kind of concept. But the next book I'm going to be writing is written by a man. Editing is written by a man, so I pay special attention to it. It's been a rough week. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. It's funny. I agree with what Ben is saying. I think though it's not just men, women also. I mean, stereotyping is stereotyping. Anybody can put in a cliche, right? So we had the worst case I remember to this day because I was just like I felt so bad for these people. It was actually a woman who wrote a story, and even in her pitch to us was, I already know who can be the reader for it. It's a dear friend of mine who reads works within this culture, right? Within this culture. And, she can confirm that everything is accurate, so forth and so on. And I thought, oh, well, that's cool. She's fun. She's gotten her friends work, and I looked up the reader, and, she was actually pretty well established and so on. And so we took it, and I think all of us had agreed at the time that there were a few cliches / stereotypes within it, but between the editor and the author and the reader, it should get cleaned up. Well, the author insisted that they were right when they were working with the editor. So when it was handed off to the reader actually requested a one-on-one meeting with me because she said, I simply cannot allow this to go out. There are so many stereotypes in this that are just, it's offensive to that culture. And and she was kind of like, help me not lose my friend / not allow this to actually see the light of day. And I forgot, I did some kind of tap dance with the author that I think I gave, if I remember correctly, I gave the reader guidance on like how to position things to help the author understand why this would be considered a stereotype or why this would be considered a cliche. And then I sat down with the editor to give them a heads up this was coming. And so when we met with the author, she was more open, but I think if I remember correctly, it was so significant. The changes were so significant. They did go through several, at least 2 or 3 rounds of edits. And then I think the author gave up. So yeah, it can be both men and women. And I'll be honest too, like, I'm reading an author who I adore, and I honestly, I love his work, but there are sections where it's definitely stereotypical of specific cultures or like gender norms, or even because he'll use a lot of historic figures, both mythical and real. And to me, that's like when I can almost see him tired. Like I've got to get this last paragraph in, right? And then he'll lean into a cliche, and then it'll go beyond the cliche later on in the work, if that, you know. And I sit there, I'm actually, and forewarning anybody who comes into my home and my library, you may find books that have all markups all around it, because as I'm reading it, I'm like, no. Like doing line edits and correcting typos and, you know, crossing out sections that I'm like, this was not either this wasn't necessary, or it should have been expanded, or I'm usually, if there's a lot of notes like that, and it's because I've deconstructed the work so that I can learn from the author how they did whatever. Otherwise I wouldn't have a pen in hand. So that was the terribly long version of I agree with Ben.
It made me remember with Fallout, the novel Fallout, with Jordan's work. The work is full of strong women. First, we'll start there, and she came to Lisa and was screening my ability to edit her work, because it was full of strong women, and we had to tell her, yeah, Ben can do it. he was raised by strong women. He knows strong women, but
he's been beaten into submission. Damn it!
Yeah. And but it's just another layer of screening for the right fit, and the editor comes down to it. Does the editor get it? And I think Jordan's still talking to me, so I'm calling it victory. And we ended up working well together, and her story was still a story that rang true. And so let's focus on the parts that ring true and the flow of the story. But that's another aspect of that question. Are your editors going in biased? And now, for the most part, they get screened for the make sure that yes, you get this work, that you understand it. And Rudolfo and I have had he's one of our authors and editors, and he was raised in Espanola, New Mexico, with the natives and the Hispanic culture up there. And he was editing a book where he had a question. He said, Ben, I don't think this rings true to the native culture. It's not New Mexico native, but I know New Mexico native. I know native culture, and this isn't. It's ringing. It's coming across like cliche. This is not it. Yeah. And so I said, well, you've got to talk to the author and make sure that you polish it. If it's coming across cliche to you, then it's probably going to come across cliche to anyone familiar with native culture.
And one thing I love about our community, like all of our authors and editors and so on, like I love that our editors, like I remember that too, because Rudolfo came to me first and went, oh my God, Lisa, is it okay that I give this feedback? Like he was terrified to do it. Like somehow, the world was going to end. And I was like, no, you have to. That's the whole point. Right. Like, and then I was like, now, but go to Ben, because, just in case I'm wrong. But I love
go to Ben.
Oh, it's always good.
Make Ben the bad guy.
Exactly. But like
he knows cliches.
Yeah, damn it. He lives his cliches. But yeah, I mean, I'm just so I just think it's fantastic that everyone in our community, well, I can't say everyone, but at least the vast majority feel very comfortable in just coming to us and saying, I don't understand this, or I'm not comfortable with this, or, what do you think? Right. Like Cecilia actually sent an email out. Was it yesterday morning or this morning? It shows you how
I
much.
remember.
Title.
Oh, about like titles. I was asking for titles. So yeah, there are lots of possibilities. We're just trying to come up with a title that, you know, housed the work, you know, that was true to the work. So yeah, I sent an email. I'm like, okay, these are some possibilities that we've been throwing around, and I had some really great ideas that I can pass on to the author. So,
and of course, we came back with, how about these instead?
yeah, no, I mean, I just collected all of them. Yeah,
What I would call it.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, they were good suggestions, so I just collected them all, and I'm gonna send them on. So yeah. I should have like had a contest or something, you know, some money in there for you guys. Which one would he pick? So
or for all of us.
Right.
You should have offered like, I'll make you your own Uzi margarita.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Yep.
Now I'm terrified as to what the ingredients is for that. Just saying.
You'll find out in 2028.
Well, see?
You can find out earlier just by you'll have access to the files, so you can look at it.
Yeah, I could completely just cheat. It's all good.
Yep.
But no, that was an excellent question. Thank you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So anything else cool come up this week? Well, anybody who's watching, don't forget, you're always welcome to just go ahead, pop a question into the comments section of whatever venue you're watching. And if you're watching this and you're watching the recording, again, please feel free to go ahead and post your question in the comments. We had a gentleman who kindly made a comment. He's like, I love the questions, but I'd love it if you guys would go deeper. And that too, like if anyone sees like Jeremiah's question and or, here's our response, and you're like, you know what? That made me think of this. Please feel free to go ahead and pop that question, because we'll just talk to it, when we see it. And if it's, before the next session, then it's at the next session. So I'm speaking at the Central Coast Writers Conference in September, and we had I've had a couple of meetings. One was I'm on a panel, is there value in an MFA? That's one. And then the other one was about, what do editors, publishers, and agents really look for when they get proposed work? And it was really interesting because at the end of it, the host says, what do you want to leave people with? And I said, honestly, the only way you're going to fail is if you give up. Mm-hmm. And that is so true. And I was going to say, only, especially for creative works, but that's true, period. Right? If you get feedback, if you get responses from, others, and, maybe you don't pass the first time, so you learn from that, and then you adjust and, keep on trying or keep on working it. Because the only way that you don't actually succeed is by just saying, you know what, I'm done. So I don't know. What do you guys think on both what do you think the value is in an MFA, or is there value in an MFA? And B, if you could leave people with anything, what would you leave them with?
I think there's tremendous value in MFA because it's an environment, whether it's low res or full residency, the environment that you're in, you're surrounded by people who are devoted to their craft to the point where they're willing to dedicate their time and energy and money into developing their ability and their skill towards their writing. So being immersed in that is so rewarding and enriching that you can't help but grow because of it. I mean, you're constantly working with, other writers' manuscripts and refining and honing your own and attending lectures and classes and everything. That it's just stupendous the amount of learning and growth you're going to experience from that program. So I found it incredibly enriching and invaluable, to be totally honest. I'm super glad that I attended and super glad that I have it on my wall.
I know, Cecilia, what do you think?
I've never done an MFA program, but I know people who have. And they enjoy it. And I think it would be a wonderful networking opportunity as well as a learning opportunity. I'm just my background is in medieval literature from Spain. So I'm kind of finding the things that I need to learn out in the wild. So I've joined, magazine staff. I'm with Flash Fiction Magazine. I'm in the thick of another contest because I'm a glutton for punishment. But I get to be surrounded by people who have done MFAs. And then there are talks and lectures from a lot of really amazing writers. I'm doing a lot of observing, a lot of reading, and a lot of editing, just to be surrounded by so many of these experiences. I think I would have gotten my information faster and more in depth, probably in an MFA program. But I'm still finding those pieces and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying, just taking my time with it. So my advice is, that's the other thing about academia. Like I came from a background and where you have to do everything perfectly or you're a fool. Like you don't want to look like a fool. Like you have to know the right people and you have to publish the right things and you have to oh my God, it's so embarrassing if you have a no-name publisher or whatever. I say, go out and just make a fool of yourself. I don't care. I mean, I published all kinds of stuff. I really did because it's how I learned. And I didn't really make a fool of myself, but I just put a lot of stuff out there that I'm proud of, but there's other stuff that I'm more proud of. So I'll just put it that way because I can see my evolution and I can see where I've grown as a writer. So, don't be afraid. Go ahead and publish. It doesn't have to be a big name. It could be I started with journals that accept everyone. And I had a lot of fun and it's the communities that you build that count. Mm-hmm. And that's my takeaway.
So why did you not get an MFA?
Yeah, sure.
I just never thought of it. I followed in my mother's footsteps. She got her degree in Spanish and I thought, I'll do the same thing. And I wanted to go into comparative literature. And I did I was accepted at Cornell, but they weren't going to give me a scholarship. And I'm like, I can't go to school and work at the same time. I will fail. How am I going to make a living? I'm like, And Ohio State, which is where I was living in Ohio. I was born and raised in Ohio. Ohio State gave me full teaching assistantship and I wanted to teach, but it was in Spanish. It wasn't in comparative literature, but I figure you're going to end up doing comparative literature anyway, no matter what program you do. So I did, and I enjoyed it. And I had a great time and I had a good 20-year career doing that, teaching Spanish. And, you're not just teaching, you're writing and you're going to conferences and you're doing all the things. And then I had a colleague from the English department say to me, you write a lot. Yeah, I was writing textbooks. I was doing a lot of trying to submit, scholarly articles and getting rejected and the whole bit. And he goes, why don't you try fiction? I'm like, I don't even know if I could write fiction. I didn't even know that I could do it. And so I began in 2016. In 2016, I started writing fiction for the first time and just kind of experimenting with prompts and looking for literary magazines. And I think we live in a really, really great time where there are so many literary magazines and so many communities to join. I thought about going back and getting an MFA because it does look like a lot of fun, but I'm not made of unlimited resources and I would like to retire and I don't want to take out loans. So there's that.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Ben, how about you? What are your thoughts?
Oh, well, I'm going to make a fool of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's all right.
Yeah.
It's, it started with, with the undergrad, I had the degree requirements for a degree in philosophy, and I was going to double major because I was getting money from the Army to pay for it, and so I was going to double major, and I went across campus to the psychology department, and ended up telling them that Sigmund Freud was an idiot, and they invited me back across the street to the humanities department where I found creative writing, and it was a refreshing thing at the undergraduate level. But then I joined the Coast Guard for 20 years and had to get grown-up degrees with a MBA and an MA and the doctorate. And then the timing was right to still had military money to spend on the table that I didn't want to leave. And so, but the process to get accepted, this is where I made a fool of myself. I just shot it out and said, "Here, you want me?" But from Eastern Kentucky, they said no. The University of Texas El Paso said no. My alma mater, New Mexico, said no, which really stung. Wait a minute. And
you have to accept me, no. Damn it.
What good is that degree if you're not going to let me back in school? But through that, I was learning that there are programs that I just didn't fit in for different reasons. I could have gotten there and played along and done the requirements, but the writing wasn't what they were looking for. So they actually did me a favor. And then the University of Tampa came through and said, "We've got the low res program. We'll see you in January." I was like, okay. Yeah. But the value of it didn't change what I wrote. Mm-hmm. It changed how I wrote it, and gave me a little bit of a framework and more of a purpose. Yeah. Especially with poetry, and one of the descriptions of writing poetry was you start at the top of the poem like painting the floor of a room, and you paint a square around the room, and you keep going and going and going until you've got the reader trapped in the middle of the room, and they get it, and they can't leave it, or they're going to get paint all over their shoes. Yeah. And so you circle them around and trap them in the middle, and you can do that. You want to do that in a very small room, and because the bigger the room, the more likely you're going to lose energy and the poem's going to fall apart. But so the bottom line value of the MFA program at Tampa for sure was the interaction with the fellow classmates, of course, but you graduate with a degree of confidence that I belong here. I can do this work, and it's probably the same that Cecilia picked up in 20 years of writing. I do this work. The MFA does that for you, and that gives you that structured institutional feel that you belong here, and here's your confidence. And by the way, edit that poem down to get rid of half of it. Kill your darling.
I think I've been in that room with the paint all around and standing there. Yeah, it's my first house. We painted ourselves into corners, but no, that's a really good image. I love that. I really do, because it does give you the framework. And the MFA program is very specific. My program in Spanish was too. It was just for a different angle. Yeah. And I never imagined myself writing fiction. And so when I did, I mean, my gosh, my first literary magazine publication, I found like 365 prompts for short stories. And I wrote one. It was called Hello. That was the prompt. And it was a ghost saying hello in a room to a mother whose baby kept playing with the shadows, and the ghost was trying to tell the mother, "Hey, I'm not here to harm the baby. I'm just saying hello every time they look at me." So, it just means I love you or whatever it is. So, and it was just very short. And I sent it out to this literary magazine called Theme of Absence. It is now defunct. And some guy ran it and I loved it. I mean, it was my first acceptance and oh my God, I celebrate. I was like, Nate, we're going out to dinner. I was like so excited. And nobody's heard of it, but I still am really, really proud of that piece. And, then I started going into other literary magazines where they accept everything because I just needed that rush. I needed that rush, but they were still good stories that I crafted, and it came from like years of reading. But then I also have stuff out there that's just silly and like not very good, but I don't care because, it just needed to come out. But you learn through the things that work and the things that don't. So I went to the school of just throw spaghetti at the wall, I guess it is, and see what sticks. But yeah, the MFA program would definitely give you a much more focused avenue for things and for networking too. You get to meet a lot of people.
So my final question, because I acknowledge we have less than 10 minutes left, but my final question is this occurred to me while we were talking. There was actually an article that someone wrote, and I think it was an online article about how heavily the publishing industry has been influenced by the white males who are in charge of MFA programs. And which I found fascinating that statement was made. So I wondered if you guys see a parallel between like the MFA programs and how they're teaching those writers versus what is actually being put out into the world by like the major houses. Dead silence.
I got nothing.
What's the question?
Do you see a parallel between what MFA programs are instructing the students and the works that are actually being published by major houses?
I would say a few years back, I mean, I can't speak to what the MFA programs are, but a few years back, I felt like I was reading the same kind of story over and over and over again. Like it was a formula and it was guaranteed to get published, and it just kind of languished, and it kind of like had a lot of great imagery. And I'm like, it's great, but I'm so bored. I feel like we got a lot of those stories. That was like maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. Now that what I'm seeing out of the major publishing houses, at least what I gravitate towards, seems to be a little bit more off the wall, like the stranger, the better, which I love.
Yeah. So honestly, I had the reverse response to, and now mind you, I have insider knowledge, right? So I think that what's happened as a result of the significance of MFA programs, and there's so many MFA programs out there, that a lot more talent is being found, but they're not necessarily being, at least initially, published with big houses. They're going to smaller publishers. And then, once they're like found with those publishers, and they're, they win awards or, they find a fan base, then it happens. But what I'm honestly finding, we've had at least 5 or 6 heads of MFA or former heads of MFA programs submit their works to us.
Yeah.
Which I at first found bizarre. Like, I was so intimidated. I'm like, why are you sending this to us? Like, don't you already know everybody at like, Penguin and Simon and Schuster and like, all the biggies? Like, this is so strange. And then when I saw that article, it actually got me thinking, like, wait a minute, these guys, they're writing stories personally that aren't necessarily what would be considered that template, right? Or the standard. And so they haven't been able to find homes for their own works with major publishers. And it's kind of spawning or supporting the expansion of like small publishers or mid-sized publishers, because that's the trend I'm seeing, is that there's a ton of additional publishers, including ones that they only publish themselves, which, hey, more power to you. But I think it's actually causing almost like a form of a revolution where there's all these smaller and mid-sized independent publishers who are publishing groundbreaking work or alternative work, I guess you could say, that is now actually getting some attention that it would have just been ignored previously. So.
I would definitely agree. Yeah, no, just judging the Independent Book Publishers Awards. I mean, there are so many independent publishers out there, and the books that I'm seeing are good, really good, of the same quality of like the big five or whatever. And a lot of them are getting adopted by the big five. So it's changing. It's changing the market. And it's changing what people will demand and what they want to read and what they want to see. They don't want to see the same thing over and over and over again. Right. They want new things. So I think that's pretty cool.
And if they do want to see the same thing over and over and over again, they still can, right?
Yes.
It's just that there are more alternatives available. Ben and Peter, you guys both like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to speak anymore.
I think the program, no matter who runs the program, the quality of work that you are subjected to probably weighs more than the person running the program. And I'm thinking of the readers that we invited in, that were invited in. I didn't invite them, but some of them I would have, some of them I wouldn't have. But the readers that were invited in to read and then teach a course the next day, they had it set up to where you got to interact with published authors. And there was some good quality work there. There was Benjamin Percy.
No, I love Benjamin.
I remember him.
And with the moneymaker voice. And then Sean Patrick Doherty, I think, was a poet that came in, and just that we were subjected to that, and it opened the door to say, this is what's being published for us. Whether they were big house or independent publishers, it was they're doing what we want to do, and they're doing it well, and they're being invited into our program, which was, we appreciated the program for bringing them in. And I don't think there was in 2.5 years, there may have been one or two that, okay. I forgot their names, so I can't even rat them out. But and I was in the course of the conversation, there was a third term essay that you had to write, and everybody approached it as a headache and a burden. And I said, well, if I'm going to write it, I want to write it to where I can publish it. And he wasn't in charge of the program. He was in charge of the undergrad program, but a white male. And I remember my advisor, who was a white female, said, "Oh, if you're gonna write the essay with him as your advisor, we're gonna have to bring our A game." And well, that's what we want. So it's, it goes back to the if I'd stereotyped him as the white male in charge, I don't think it would have been as rewarding as just looking at him as the scholar that he actually was. And that's what I got from him.
Mhm.
And my advisor said, "We got to bring our A game." Whoops, why are you going? Why are you going that way? We got to bring our A game. I said, "Well, let's do it."
All right, Peter, you got to close us out, man.
I still think MFA programs are very much worth it. Absolutely.
Yep.
So,
Excellent. All right. Well, then with that, I want to, again, Jeremiah, thank you for that incredible question. Suzanne, thank you for your commentary. And everybody who's been watching, we love you guys. Thank you for joining us. And don't forget, you can catch us again next Thursday or the following Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And you can just ask us whatever you want. See you then.
Bye-bye.